Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And you're watching, not just listening. On your smartphone, or even Chromecasting us or whatever all those others are on the big TV like I like to do. Anyway, we're here. This is our scheduled week. Today we know it as KNOW, your nonprofit. And we introduce on that Wednesday of each month a different nonprofit that's servicing not only yourself but the community as a whole, so that way you can learn about it. Like we have so many, we only know usually about the big names, the international ones, but we have so many local ones that do so much for our community in different aspects. So that's why we like to introduce them here on the show. And if you know anyone, a particular nonprofit that you're proud of or you'd like to see get the showcasing, just send me a message and you'll see the email when we do the raffle. Before we get into today's guests, I've just got a couple of things to say, though. I promised two, and I'll do this for a couple more weeks, two local festivals that are very dear to me that I would like you all, if you have the time. You know, New Orleans is now Festival City. It's always had some, but now they have so many, they overlap and stuff like that, so you usually just go to a regional one or one of the biggest ones. But we have it coming up on Friday, November 3rd, through that Sunday, November the 11th, the Scandinavian Festival. I think it's the 9th one. This has been going on for years. I know Eric Paulson on WWL has always been a big supporter, I think, because of his nationality. And not only is this a typical arts and crafts, but it's a food festival and jazz, I believe, specifically introducing you, if you're not familiar with, a lot of Scandinavian dishes that are homemade and available for your purchase and to taste. And once again, you know, my whole background is regarding eating out food and especially exploring other countries. For those of us who can't travel as much as we'd like to, here's a way of really learning about a country by sampling it through its food. So give them a try. It starts at 11 o'clock each of those 3 days. That's November 9th, 10th, and 11th on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're located at 1772 Britannia Street, Uptown. The other one, which is a week later, and another one very dear to my heart. In fact, the young lady was, I think she was our last month's guest. Her name was Amy Antoinette Baptiste. She's the executive director of Neighborhood Housing Services of New Orleans, NHS as it's known, who I was on the board of several years ago and was honored to do so. And they were very responsible in helping reclaim, and they still do, rehabilitate and build affordable homes for our citizens, especially post-Katrina. They were significant and one of the earliest one of these organizations. They have the whole full spectrum of education and credit restoration, etc. But what they do is an annual fundraiser now, and it's really a kick. And it is scheduled for Friday, November 10th. It's 11 o'clock. It's a great luncheon with show. It's called the Celebrity Cabaret. And you probably don't know this young person, but Trixie, I think her name is Trixie Minx, is the hostess. And she's got a full cabaret show. And it is held at Pogo de Chao restaurant. Now, I don't know if you know it. It's hard to pronounce. Right there on Canal Street. I believe it's the JW Marriott Hotel, not the regular Marriott, the one that is across the street on the ground level. This is a churrascaria. It's very hard to pronounce. It's a South American steakhouse. And it's just, if you've never been to one of these, it's just fascinating to watch as well as to enjoy. You turn over like a red or green sign as much as you want to eat. They serve you, so it's not a buffet style. There's buffet for the salads and the accessories, but the meats, and they must have umpteen, I can't even count, different types of meats, even birds, chickens, etc. And the young gentlemen all dressed up will come usually on a skewer or a big sword, and they will slice off for you the type of meat, whether it's steak, lamb, chicken, sausage, and you take as much, as many slices as you want, and you keep going till you get filled. So it's a great, great restaurant, beautiful location, and to have the celebrity cabaret show during the luncheon. If you've got the time, that's Friday, November 10th at 11 o'clock. Look to the websites for either Cabaret, Celebrity Cabaret, or NHS New Orleans Neighborhood Housing Services of New Orleans, and they give you information on buying tickets. Okay, well, enough on that. I really appreciate those folks, and we'll give a couple of more promos before the events are finished. Today, we are really privileged because this nonprofit's, again, very close to maybe not my heart, but my heart and also my stomach. As you know, my background has been always TV with restaurants, et cetera, and we've installed 2 new editions here on the New Orleans Talk Network, Chef's Chat and Chef's Chat International, which is replicas of my former show dealing with New Orleans restaurants. So this one is kind of in between that, and there's a big movement, as we talked about X number of years ago, called Farm to Table, where we're trying to bring the restaurant closer to the farmer, so not only the food is the freshest, but it's also helping out the independent farmer or larger farms, as opposed to going through a large wholesaler who might freeze them or whatever. And in the old days, a restaurant was just a purveyor. They would go through a checklist of all what they needed, lettuce, da-da-da-da, and the big companies, we won't name them, would deliver them frozen or fresh. But we always had that middleman. Now we're trying as much as possible to sever that link, not just from a financial perspective, but more importantly from the farmer, so he's not going to give you a bad piece of lettuce or whatever. And it's always usually local, close to your restaurant, etc. So we have perhaps 3 of these culinary programs this organization runs. They don't run all 3. The other 2 are based on the East Bank, one of them very, very well known, Cafe Reconcile, and also a subset of that called Liberty's Kitchen. The difference there is they're training young students at risk or whatever to actually run and service a restaurant. In other words, how to cook, how to serve, how to run the point of service machines, the whole point, hospitality, but all concentrated in the end result. The advantage of this one, and by the way, its name is Cafe Hope, great name, is that it takes the students before that all the way. So A to Z, it starts with the actual farming, the planting process. They get involved from day one and go all the way through to that end result, to actually serving folks in their restaurant. So you couldn't get a better view of what we call farm to table. And we're real pleased to speak with today the executive director of Cafe Hope, Mr. Louis Arocha. Welcome to the show, Louis.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you having me.
Hopefully I've given you a little bit of prelude. So, but of course we want to hear a lot more from you.
You should be the director. That was pretty good.
Please. Very sweet. Well, what we're going to do, our audience knows in a few minutes we'll have to break for our first commercial break. So we like to hear a little bit about the guest himself or herself before we actually get into the program. So tell us a little bit how you got involved with Cafe Hope and, what you hope to achieve there.
Wow, it's a long story.
Oh,
but here we go.
Well, maybe let's see what we can do in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. So a really good friend of mine, Tim Falcon, is an attorney here on the West Bank.
Okay.
And Tim was part of the original 3 that started Cafe Reconcile.
So it was that name, yes.
Tim Falcon and his brother-in-law, Craig Cucci, and Father Harry Thompson started Reconcile.
I know him, of course, from high school.
Sure. I think everybody in the city knows Father Thompson, right?
Yes, he's so well known, so loved and well known.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Go ahead.
And so, Tim, being a West Banker and his business is over on the West Bank, decided that the youth of the West Bank needed a program like Reconcile. And so...
so astute, really is.
No, Tim is very philanthropic, really just a genius when it comes to being a part of the community and helping the community that he's a part of.
Great.
It's one of the few that I know that truly care and give back a ton. So Tim's a good man. So anyway, he approached the Archdiocese of New Orleans, Catholic Charities in particular, and asked about starting a program in the Madonna Manor building. It took a couple of years to get things set up and put together. He asked me to serve on the board. So I was actually the first chairman of the board for Cafe Hope. We made a change at the executive director's level and didn't have anybody in mind, so I volunteered to just watch the operations until we found somebody. Okay. And that's 70 years ago, so here we are.
Wow. So, y'all are good, doing a very thorough search, isn't it?
Yeah, it's taken a while to find it.
Well, I first got involved with Cafe Hope with my television program, that you all have heard probably too much about, Restaurant Review. And originally at that time, we wanted to showcase them on the show, and they had a different chef and the restaurant, and I had a dinner club. We brought them, so we put them on the show, and I just... not only did we enjoy ourselves because the food was so tasty and the chef was so delightful that, we followed along with them. Of course, being an East Banker, I don't get over the West Bank as much other than the show now. But I'm so glad to hear. Now, there have been some changes made, and we're going to talk about all that. But the key is, as he mentioned, the original location, which is still used, not for the restaurant purposes, but for as we talked about, the farming, the harvesting, whatever you want to call it, was on Barataria Boulevard. For those who don't remember Manhattan Manor, there were two buildings. They were almost like mirror image buildings, probably built in the early 1900s, all Spanish architecture. I think one of them was a school for the deaf. Do you recall?
Well,
it's
Hope Haven campus. Madonna Manor was the building that we were in. So there's several buildings on that campus. But there was, in fact... Chinchuba was a school for the deaf.
Institute, exactly.
And it was behind the building that we're in. So,
but they're magnificent structures because of their just simple architecture and because they're on an expansive land. And they had a preliminary restaurant there, but they moved some swank quarters, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, from location and everything. But they still maintain, because of the large swath of land adjacent to the structure and part of the whole structure, they really set out a beautiful farming program there for the students to actually get themselves dirty and learn each of the aspects, as well as he'll talk about some of the farming of the future and the current now, not just digging into the mud. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our first break. As you know, we come back, we're going to do an abbreviated raffle today because of our guest, and then we'll head into the deep part of each of the processes. So go ahead and take a look and listen, and we'll be back right after the commercials, okay? Thank you. You did great.
Thank you.
Did I usurp you too much?
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hi, this is Jill Samuels with Faith That Works. Join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network as we change the lives of people with the Word of God by equipping the body of Christ to evangelize the world while reconciling people back to God. Let us continue to carry the water to the desert because Jesus is the living water.
Stop this hauling water to the sea. Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
Bell Hall to live stream your next event, give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on a golf course that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Again, you're watching the New Orleans Talk Network. It's Bob's Variety Hour, and we're real pleased to have our guest. But before we get back to him, it's raffle time. Now, as I mentioned, when we have a guest in studio, we usually do a limited raffle. So what we are pleased to do is that we are pleased to announce the winner of last week's raffle. And we're going to show hopefully her picture up there and what she's won. She's on one of our newest watches. Her name is Deborah Hunter, and she hails from, I forgot the exact town, but nearby Jackson, Mississippi. And she's a media star in her own right. She had her own TV show on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. How about that? Called Cooking with Honey and Friends. And now she has a Monday morning talk show with a co-host on all type things that are going on in Jackson, as well as specifically food. And she cooks her own food in both these shows and serves it to the guests. And they're going to give a little critique, so it keeps her momentum going. So we're real pleased. And because of that, she's getting, as you saw just in the book, on salad recipes. I haven't seen her do a lot of salads, so maybe this will give her inspiration. I'm not saying she can't, but I've just not been familiar with her work. So we're real pleased to have her as a watcher, a viewer. Pleased that we'll be sending this book along to her, and hope to see her, and she's going to send us some chefs, etc., for the Chef Domestic show. So we'll have a lot of rapport in the future. So it's Deborah Hunter. Welcome, and thank you very much. All right. Again, I forgot to bring the prize for this week. I apologize, but since we're doing the abbreviated version, the most important thing is register one time, and you're always in the raffle. You don't have to do it every week or call in X number of callers. Send it to email to that address, bob@allreview.com. 3 things you need to include: your full name, your email address, and your zip code. The email address is for us to contact you to tell you what you've won and how we can arrange to get it to you. All right, so go ahead and do that so you'll be eligible. Next week we'll show what the gift is. I apologize. Now let's get back to, we have the executive director of Cafe Hope, domiciled here in two aspects of the West Bank, on Barataria Boulevard, where they actually have the nuts and bolts of the operation with regard to the preparation, the growth, and the harvesting of the foods that are going to be used to prepare the menu and prep that and cook that and serve that at the restaurant. So let's go through the process. Unless you want to say anything else, I know I cut you off for the break, but if there's anything more you wanted to say about the overall, your role there, if not, then let's just start from A to Z with regard to that process.
No, I mean, as far as my role, it's, we're a small nonprofit. And so I don't think anybody on staff has any one set job. It truly is a labor of love. The staff that I have, the hours that they put in, it's incredible. And it's all because of the love of kids, to want to help our young people out and get them started.
And that's the bottom line here. I mean, we're looking at what are you doing with them, but at the same time, the bottom line is to get these kids into a passion, hopefully a future that they can enjoy and monetarily.
It's the goal is to put them on a path to self-sufficiency so they can take care of ourselves. There are over 9 million young adults in our country that are not employed, not in school, or both, at a cost of $8 billion a year. Wow. And so
the statistics are really alarming when you hear them, but
no, it is
very factual. Factual.
We take a look at the condition that our country's in and why we're in debt and what's going on, and that's a big part of it. $8 billion a year for young people who, the education failed them in one way or another, and they're struggling. They're struggling to have jobs. They're struggling to survive,
and half. I don't know what percentage it is, but the measurement for the other direction, not being unemployed or having no future, and the propensity for crime. We're saving ourselves from being victimized or even anything, harmed by kids who unfortunately don't get themselves into a regimen, into a program.
No,
So not that all of these would be that, but this gives them a positive avenue that unfortunately a lot of our folk locally here don't have.
No, if they're not in programs like Cafe Hope and Reconcile and Liberty's Kitchen, if they're not in our programs, the drug dealers are going to get to them.
That's it. That's
and
easy,
once
quick
the
money. They think, and
once the
that's
drug
it.
dealers get their hands on them, they don't let go. And,
Their life is-
unfortunately, I think, my dad used to say that life like that, it ends up one of two ways. You either wind up dead or you wind up in prison. And neither one of those are good outcomes for our young people.
You're right. Neither one are part. They're not, and unfortunately, they're looking at the quick dollar, the momentary situation, not the long range goal. And unfortunately, if they saw the long range goal, they might change their mind.
No, and listen, we don't have enough time on your show today
Right,
to
right.
get into all of it, but it's unfortunate because once they get into the system, and we're talking about the
They're
legal
lost.
system,
They're
well,
lost.
it's just almost impossible to come out.
To extract. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're
once
lost
there's
in the system.
once there's a record, once you have a record, it's really
Plagues you
tough
forever.
to be employed.
Yeah, yes.
And if you're not employed and you can get out and you're on probation and you have probation fees to pay every week or once a
All
month.
that stuff. Yeah. I mean,
And,
it's just
and so what do? If you can't work, you turn back to what got you thrown in jail in the first place to
Right.
try to find the money to pay those fees to stay out of jail. And
The
it's
nightmare of
it's a
crime.
vicious cycle.
Well, let's start off up front before we you go into the. How does one, whether it's the parents that stimulate this or just the student himself, how do they actually apply to be in your program or any of them? I mean, I won't talk about others because they
Yeah.
probably have different requirements. But basically, your program, if we stimulate a parent to try and stimulate their child with this program, or any ones that would happen to see it, if I'm sure the young ones are watching, but how would they make that first step with regard to trying to get into the program?
It's simple. We don't say no to anybody. It's
That's
free.
That's a good two good words.
Yeah.
Open access and free access.
Yeah, and so it's as simple as just calling Cafe Hope, and we'll get you in touch with one of our program coordinators. Get a really application filled out, brief application, get you in, sit down and talk about goals and where you want to go and where you're headed, and we roll from there. So we work with 16 to 24-year-olds. We will make
that's your
exceptions.
range? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make exceptions
Sure.
above the 24. We very, very, very rarely will make an exception below the 16.
Yeah, I understand. That
but
makes sense. That's
but
a
above
good-
the 24, we'll make some exceptions. And take
Now,
some
what
older
about
folks
if someone, and I hate to ask this, but I think it's good because we could be having, being viewed by people on the East Bank. Suppose their children can't get in for whatever reason to one of the other two programs. Would they be accepted, or is it strictly for West Bank?
Oh, no, it's
excellent.
Metropolitan New Orleans.
I thought so, but I just wanted to make sure I understand. Well, it's West Bank,
No.
even though it's a difference for transportation. I mean, obviously, you're not providing transportation.
We've had students from Orleans, Jefferson, St. Bernard,
Ah.
Plaquemines.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, you're impressing me now because I thought for the most part it was 90% or whatever percent, high percentage.
No, it is. It's definitely a high percentage, but we've had students from those areas. I mean, listen, Bob, the thing that we have to realize is if they're from the East Bank, the chances of them being able to come to a program
Right.
like Cafe
That's
Hope
what I say. That's
pretty
the-
slim.
That's the major obstacle.
Yeah,
I mean,
transportation's the major obstacle, not just in getting into a program like ours, but even after they graduate from the program and getting job placement. Transportation's a huge issue.
Always. At least, well, I mean, I know there's some public transportation here, but I imagine for an East Bank person, it would really be problematic to even do that. you
Yeah,
know?
I'm sad to say that our transportation system leaves a bit to be desired. I don't think just New Orleans or just Jefferson Parish. I think as a country.
The
Yeah.
country, yeah, exactly. I had a question and I've forgotten what it was. Well, that's probably best so we can move forward. All right, why don't we actually just start getting into the nitty gritty, and if it
Sure.
comes back to me, I'll bug you
Okay,
again.
yeah, just
All
jump
right.
in. So we're a 16-week program.
Okay.
The first 4 weeks of the program, they don't spend any time in the kitchen or any time on the floor of the restaurant.
I thought of it. Excuse me.
Yep.
What is, again, it's part of the application or the qualification process. What are your parameters with regard on you gave us the age, but on the number of students that you can handle at one time,
Yeah,
one class?
we usually have 6 to 8 students in any one class.
Okay.
But we have 3 classes in the building at all times. So there's
Oh,
3
okay.
groups, right? So we start a new class every 6 weeks.
Okay.
So you have our seeds class, which
so each one moves along, and then that opens that first segment. So
upon graduation, it opens up another.
Well, let's
another
now
rotation.
get back to where you were going to go. Let's go over those
Yeah.
those steps for each process.
So 16-week program.
Right.
First 4 weeks are strictly life skills. We're focusing on the person.
Good.
We're trying to give them the skills that they need to survive in the workplace. Before we give them the work skills, we need to give them the skills to survive.
Very good. Very
We're
good.
building connections for them so that
Sure.
they have a support system. We're trying to build relationships with staff and student so that we can figure out what the needs are. We're trying to meet the
Identify.
holistic needs in that first 4 weeks. So it's comprehensive life skills, anger management, time management, communication skills. We bring in, we have a great partnership with Gulf Coast Bank and Trust. We come in and
Okay.
we do some financial literacy.
Oh, wow.
LSU Ag Center will come in and do some work with us from time to time on the garden and talking
right,
about
right,
food.
right.
We spend a lot of time trying to get them, not so much the culinary program doesn't start, but getting them to understand food, as you said. So some time in the garden, working in the garden, seeing what seed to table is.
Right.
We talk about healthy foods because a lot of our students have children already.
Right.
And so we take a field trip. We go, the folks from Rouse's have been really good to us as well. So we take a field trip down to the one in the warehouse district. They have a garden up on top. So
Oh,
we're
it's
able to
beautiful.
see the garden up on top. And then we're teaching our students how to feed their families healthy meals, how to shop the outside of the grocery store instead of the in-store aisles where it's more of the fresh produce and the fresh
course.
meats and the dairy products.
And I'm going to interrupt you again because I met, and this is something I don't think y'all have participated in, but there's a farm-to-table conference every year. Very informative, and they even have a chef's challenge where I've met a lot of chefs, but that's what I'm talking about. But there they would bring on farmers, fishermen, restaurateurs, and bring them into panel discussions. And I met this gentleman, Elvia Chauvin.
Elve Chauvin.
Yes, okay, so you know him. He's over here, and he has a 2-acre farm, and I've introduced...
He's actually on the Cafe Hope land.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Elve
you didn't
is,
tell me that.
Elve is one
I
of-
was thinking it was separate. I said, well, this would be a natural adjunct to visit his farm, but if you're saying it's his land...
he uses our land. So the garden at Cafe Hope is a community garden.
Okay.
I don't have the staff to run it myself.
Well, sure.
So the 2 big names in that garden that have really been responsible for the success of the garden is Elve Chauvin and State Representative
great.
Pat Connick.
Pat Connick.
And so Pat and Elve really run the show out there and coordinate everything and control just about
I should
everything.
have known
that
I
goes on.
didn't need to tell you anything about it, but I was so overwhelmed by it. I contacted him right after, and we set up this little school I'm doing some helping with over here, Concordia Lutheran, right down the block, and they're doing their first gala. But in conjunction with that, I asked the new principal, "Well, do you all do any field trips?" Well, no, we haven't. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
And so I gave him his, and I said this would be great because the older ones can actually learn and get their hands dirty if they want to volunteer work.
Listen, I'm going to give Pat and Elve a plug right now.
Go ahead.
Any of the schools out there that are looking
Yeah,
for
perfect.
service hours and stuff like that, we've, for the last few years, had young men from St. Augustine, from Archbishop Rummel.
Wow.
Archbishop Shaw brings a ton of young men over across the street, and they work in the garden and really
Men
help out.
and ladies, we hope.
Oh, absolutely. AOL.
Yeah.
The ladies from Academy of... Listen, man, sometimes those ladies outwork the guys.
Probably not working together.
Listen, I'm here to tell you.
I met and I thought of you, and again, I didn't have enough information, but at that conference, I met a gentleman who's doing similar stuff, but they're not as advanced as you all in St. Tammany's High School. I've forgotten the name. It might be St. Tammany High. And they're doing the culinary aspect part of it, but they really would like to go from the first part. Exactly. And I said, well, the best one I know for that part is Cafe Hope. So we haven't been back in contact, but I'm hoping if he ever catches our show that he will reconnect with me because I would be great to put y'all in touch so that those students can come over here and see the whole program.
It is amazing. I mean, when we started this deal, we never thought we would have a garden, especially 1.2 acres. But
Huge.
we had a little something going, and then we sent some students out to the garden just to pick. We had sent them out to do radishes, I believe. Sent them out to the garden to get radishes. They came back 45 minutes later and said, "There's no radishes in the garden." And I said, "Well, hold on a second. I know there's radishes in the garden,
wow.
And I said, well, we didn't see any trees with the radishes on
Oh,
it.
wow.
And so it was an eye-opener for us that
Well, of course.
a lot of our young people don't understand food, and they don't know
At
where
all.
it's coming from.
Yeah,
and
it's from the
didn't
grocery
know-
store. They know it comes from the grocery
Yeah,
store. That's
where
it.
do you get those radishes? From the grocery.
they
Right.
grow in the
No.
backyard of the grocery.
Exactly. So we had to go out and show them that, there are vegetables that grow in the ground.
Right.
Potatoes grow in the ground and radishes grow in the ground. And so it was eye-opening. And it's at that point that we decided to make that part of our curriculum, to teach them about food and show them where food comes from.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. That's what I say. It is eye-opening. I mean, me as growing up, I never even concerned myself with where the food came from. It was, what you were eating.
And listen, another plug for farmers. I bring food home all the time from that garden.
Oh, I don't blame you.
And I can't tell you the reaction of my family. The food tastes so different when it's
so
fresh.
different. And we had several restaurateurs that gave testimonials at the conference from Elvay that are directly related with Elvay for their restaurant. So you see, folks, it works. It really does.
No,
And-
if you give it a chance,
Yeah.
go to one of the local farmers markets. We have a couple of great farmers markets in our city.
More and more,
Take
yeah.
advantage of that. Let's
Yeah.
get out
it's a
and
great
try.
outing, even if you don't buy anything, just go look.
Absolutely, and let your family taste
The
fresh
difference.
food.
Yeah.
The radishes are spicier, they're crispier.
Any of the greens,
strawberries are
anything.
coming
Oh,
from
my
the
goodness.
North Shore. Are
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
course.
I think the stat is that food that's in a grocery store. Now we have some grocery stores that are starting to really focus on local.
That's right.
But typically in the big chain grocery stores, it's on the back of a truck for 3 to 6 weeks
Extra
before
more
it
time.
gets.
Yeah. And then
And-
people don't ever think of the transportation of
Yeah.
it. They think it comes immediately that day.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're wasting too much time
Yeah.
on that, even though it's great. And by the way, folks, we're going to intersperse. Mike's going to provide us several still pictures of what's going on there, so you can not just hear us rap about it. Lewis was kind of some of them from the website, et cetera. So he will be putting these things up, and we are going to. He showed the pics already. We've been talking, so he showed all the pics. I was hoping what we're going to do is stage as we do the conversation, he showed the pictures of the garden. So you've gotten to see a little bit of what we're talking about now. We're
I
going
think one of the pics that you got to see is you said earlier, not just digging in the mud, but we do some hydroponics.
Right. If you noticed those pics, folks, they were in like little white containers, and that is the future or the present.
There
There
it
you
is,
go.
right there.
Yeah, where they're not even getting into the normal soil that we call it. So this is for people who don't have the space and don't have all that land or accessibility that you grow it at their own home as well as. So that's how they're learning, because we're getting to be more oriented of either. Like the old days, many people grew their own stuff in their backyard. That was not a problem. That was
It's
natural.
fun too.
If
I started a little garden in my backyard
There you
because
go.
of it.
Well, one of our other, and we'd love to talk about it, one of our other nonprofits hadn't come on yet, and Greenlight, I think, not Grace or the Greenlight. They do two things. One, they have they do three. They started with the solar, with the light bulbs, and then they went to rain barrels. Fabulously decorated rain barrels that they merchandise for people who catch their own water, and then how to build your own garden. Now they're actually doing home gardens. We'll go to your house for free.
Hey,
So it's exciting.
You can check out a local nonprofit too that runs their own garden. Is Grodat.
Rodat. I've heard of that one, but I haven't talked to him. But Andreas, I know from Greenlight. But anyway, we diverse. So we've been showing you pictures of this process. Let's talk a little bit more about the process before we see the end result. One, not only what they're producing to serve, but where are they serving it and how you can participate. Go ahead.
All right. So first 4 weeks again focused on holistic needs,
Getting
self.
them to be self-realization. That's what
One of
it
the
is.
other things, a new partner that just came on with us, and it's phenomenal. So excited about this is LSU Dental School.
Wow.
Coming in and doing some free screening for our students.
Fantastic.
And so that's huge for a lot of our
Fantastic.
students.
And
So
we ought to even move to the LSU Vision part too, and that's if they can
Yeah.
do it. Because I mean,
No,
it's hand in
absolutely.
hand. It's
These-
not always the ears.
these young people need so much, man. It's we're trying to
Great
surround them
idea.
with good people.
And then
anyway.
talk to some of the others
Yeah.
just about like health assessment. Like Humana.
No,
what are the others
absolutely.
they do these at all these festivals anyway.
Yeah.
So included. Oh, that's a wonderful part. Go ahead. Great
So,
addition.
yeah, and so after that first 4 weeks, then they go into the internship part of the program. And so
Okay.
in the internship, they spend 6 weeks in the kitchen, 3 chefs on staff in the kitchen. Joey Labella is our executive chef. The name may sound familiar. Labella's Catering out of Kenner.
And tell
been
him
a
what
family
his
business.
particular background, though.
Yeah,
was
and
more specific.
Joey came to us. Obviously, worked for his dad many years, but came to us right off the Natchez. So he was the executive chef on Steamboat Natchez for I
serving
think
a
4
lot
years.
of a lot of our tourists that visit, but probably locals too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they were great to be able to pick him up. He was ready to put his feet on solid ground again and be with his family. So
Yeah.
it's a great. How long has Joey been with you?
Joey's been with us a little over a year now.
Yeah. I knew it was new, but I didn't know how
And
new.
so Joey's 20 plus years experience. He's got a sous chef that's bordering on 10, 12 years experience, and then a line cook that's got about 7 or 8 years. So the kids are
Wow.
getting a lot of
Getting great experience.
getting great experience in there. So it's 6 weeks in the kitchen. When they finish in the kitchen, we bring them out to the floor of the restaurant. 2 incredible people working the front of the house. Really proud to say that when we moved to Timberlane, we knew that we would need a second manager or supervisor. And so
Okay.
we reached back into our bag of graduates, and for the first time, we hired a graduate back to help manage the Florida
great.
restaurant.
So, folks, he kind of leaked it out in case you heard that. And we're going to be seeing, well, there's some great pictures, some more pictures of the kids, but is that they originally had a small restaurant within the confines of the facility, Madonna Manor, which was lovely, but again a little bit out of the way for the general populace to find. So they have really moved into some real swank quarters, and that is the fabulous country club at Timberlane Golf Course. It's on La Palca, is that right?
La Palca Boulevard, yeah.
Palco Boulevard. And here you see, in very contemporary with magnificent, the whole wall of the restaurant are sliding, well, I don't know if they're sliding, but they're full glass doors overlooking the golf course. And I mean, you can just sit there for hours, hopefully eating and imbibing. But to
That's
watch,
Robert right there in that picture, the first graduate that we brought back. Robert
Excellent,
came back,
excellent.
yeah.
But you can overlook down on the golf course, but you're seeing some beautiful trees. There's some water things. The birds are flying over there all the time. So it's a nature viewer's delight because you're in the comforts of either indoors or outside. As you see here, these folks are enjoying especially now. I mean, what better day to eat than today? The lovely balcony, covered balcony that overlooks. The course as well. So you can eat either in the comfort of the interior or also the exterior. So we're going to talk more about that. But the important thing now is it's a much larger restaurant, much more comfortable, and much easier to access than the other location.
Yeah, what's really important for us and what we need to make people understand is even though it's a country club, even though it's a golf club, you don't have to be a member to come support Cafe Hope.
Yeah,
you can come in and eat, and you don't have to be a guest. You don't have to be
pay
a member.
a fee, or you don't have to pay, be checked by the security guard. It's right off the La Palco. It's just a little bit of thing. The parking lot's right out front. So that's a need. Yeah, don't let us scare you all because as soon as they hear that country go, oh, that's an exclusive set. You got to belong. Absolutely not. This is an open access restaurant now when it's open. So you certainly can make yourself available. And now we'll talk more particulars in a little bit, but let's go a little bit more. I don't think we finished the process before we actually go into looking at some of the food dishes and the particular hours.
Okay,
But
sure.
let's see. We'll wait. The nasty commercial in. So we got to do our second, our last break, folks. Pay attention to these. Come on back because we get into more and more excitement here of what we're building. So, I forgot where we were in the.
I was just
know
talking
we
about.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready because the conversation will be hot and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
That's right. You're watching the New Orleans Talk Network, and you're specifically at Bob's Variety Hour on Wednesdays, where, we bring you a different situation every week. We have some scheduled items each week, so that way you know what we're going to be doing that particular week. And today is Know, K-N-O-W, your nonprofit. We have a delightful one today because it's one that all of us can know, because we get a chance to participate. And what better way than eating to support this particular group? We've been hearing from Louis Arocha, the executive director of Cafe Hope, for 7 years now. And we just talked about the exciting change of the restaurant. So we want to pick it up a little bit, let's take a few step backs, finish the process. Then we'll go into details of seeing what kind of food is coming out of there, telling you what this week's menu is, and, of course, inviting you to come and taste the difference for yourself. Go ahead, Louis, please.
Yeah, so after they're on the floor, their 6 weeks, we go to graduation. Upon graduation, we help with job placement.
Wow.
Really proud that we have a 72% job placement rate over the 7 years, not just this year, but over the 7 years.
Fantastic.
So when we say job placement, we mean either employed or we get them back in school. So either one of those
one's
two.
a successful outcome.
Absolutely, it's an incredible outcome. Some great restaurants. We give them support for 1 year. We follow them through their job placement for 1 year.
Fantastic. It's not just dump them.
No.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, listen, once you come to Cafe Hope, you're part of the family. We have students from the first and second class that we ever had still come back when they need help and when they need something. And that's really important that our students know that it's not just a 16-week program, it's for life. We're going to be here as long as we're around, as long as we can keep the doors open, we're going to be here for you.
Fantastic.
So 72% job placement rate, some incredible placements. We have a few young people working inside the Emerald organization.
Well, good.
We have 3 people in the kitchen at Commander's Palace now.
Wow.
So
great training program as well.
Yeah, listen.
Once they get in-house there, they anything you've taught them, they're going to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
So that's what's good about it. Just refining the skills that you've all started.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to deceive any young person out there. We're not going to be able to turn a young person into a chef in 16 weeks. That doesn't happen. But what we can do is we can work on the knife skills. We can work on, the presentation skills. We can work on identifying fruits and vegetables. We can work on how to read a recipe, how to put a recipe together. And those are the skills that are going to get you in the door. Once I get you in the door, it's the skills that we taught in the first 4 weeks, the work ethic, the show up on time,
reliable,
show up with a good attitude.
Done.
Those are the things that are going to keep you there and keep you learning.
Exactly.
Until you can reach the level of a chef.
That's part of the problem. It's too many young kids who go, because, we're such a hospitality city, and there's so many jobs out there in that business. But the problem is many of them do, and they do take many times entry level without any training. And the problem is the first time they start getting some money, And the lifestyle, they're maybe there till 10 o'clock. If it's an evening restaurant as well, they're out. Then they start staying out all night. They start all the bad habits that are just as bad as if they were on the streets, not responsibly.
That's why our financial literacy program is so important, because we talk about budgeting. We talk about saving money.
As opposed to just sooner than come spending on the street or whatever. Yeah, it's so important. So important. Okay, what else? What else before we now we start looking at the pictures?
Yeah, I think that kind of is a synopsis of the program, and we just want young people to understand that we're here for you.
Okay, how do I think one of our pictures will tell us, but before we see how do they contact you or Cafe Hope to start the process? Does it go to only the website? They can call. Well, let's give them details on that.
I think the best way to do it is. We have some flyers. We flyer a lot of the little convenience stores on the West Bank the 2 weeks before our class starts, so there's always flyers out. Okay. You can check the website. You can check our social media.
Tell us the website itself.
It's www.cafehope.org.
Remember, folks, nonprofit is org, not com. We're so used to ingrained with com, but a lot of people make that mistake. You can shift gears to the org.
Yeah. You can check us out on Facebook. So it's Cafe Hope NOLA.
Okay.
On Facebook, and we're always posting.
And
when
there's
the classes
information
are
in both of those where they can actually apply or generate the process.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So remember, every 16 weeks, there's a whole new. Well, really, every
6 weeks a new class.
Every 6 weeks, there's one new class. So it's not like you
listen. We want to encourage. We certainly work with the young folks who didn't finish high school, but we have a big number of students now are graduating from high school, trying to figure out what listen, guys, it's okay not to know what you want to do with your life at 18 years old.
Especially at that age.
And so if you graduate high school and college isn't for you, obviously we encourage college, but if it's not for you, then and you want to take a look at the hospitality and the culinary industry, what better way than to figure out what it's all about than a 16-week free program?
And what's good about this is the graduates who are maybe thinking about going there, because it's so proliferating today. Not only on TV, they all want to be diva stars, on our own YouTube, which you can do. But at the same time, here's a program where you might not have to spend a lot of money going to an expensive college. Nothing wrong with like Delgado, some of the great programs. But before you make that financial commitment or the student loans, here's ones for free. And like you said, you don't have to be an undergrad. You can be a dropout. You can be a graduate. Take the 16-week course. It's not even half a year, okay? And you'll know more about the whole process, how it is to run a business or operation, and plus learn how to manage your money, et cetera. So then when you go forward into a more advanced program, it's the bridge between this and a culinary program and the restaurant. Yeah. So that's great. Okay, let's. I think Mike's eager to show us some of the pictures of some of the dishes that are served there, and then, like I said, we're going to show that weekly. All right. What do we have there?
That's a panna cotta.
Wonderful dessert, huh?
Looks like a vanilla panna cotta.
Vanilla panna cotta. You can do them in flavor, but look how pretty that is, folks. We're going to make your mouth water in the morning and have a little dessert. How about that?
That's one of the charcuterie boards that we do at the bar. So all of that.
Yeah, we didn't mention that yet. We haven't talked about the hours, but this is done. No, that's done just during the bar hours.
From 3 to 6.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and use that as a stopping point there. The restaurant, because we talked about where the location, Timberlane Country Club, but let's talk about days and hours of operation so they'll know when the food is.
Let's say there's a few ways to support Cafe Hope, right?
Okay.
Obviously, volunteering. We try to find people that would love to come in and speak to young people, some of the chefs, some of the folks that have been in the restaurant industry. It's always great to have a guest speaker in. You can donate. Obviously, it's getting toward the end of the year, and so if you trying to make those donations by the end of the year,
tax purposes, is the perfect time.
Think about Cafe Hope. And then the easiest way to support us is to come out and eat. And so we're open 6 days a week now. It's expanded hours since we moved to Timberlane. So we're Tuesday through Friday from 10:30 to 2 o'clock for lunch.
So closed on Mondays.
Tuesday
through Friday. We serve lunch only, and that's from What was that time? again?
10:30 to 2.
10:30 to 2.
And then we
okay.
do an abbreviated bar menu from 2 to 6.
And that's where you were just seeing that charcuterie board, and we'll talk a little bit more about the snacks. So if you come after or if you stay beyond the lunch hour and you just want to hang out at the bar and meet the golfers or whatever, or just enjoy your chatting.
It's like you said, it's a beautiful location. So to come and sit and have a glass of wine after work
Oh,
or a
my
little
goodness.
after work drink.
Happy hour, they call it, but it
brings the blood pressure down. We got some beautiful cypress trees right outside the window. It's
and
gorgeous.
what better thing? Of course, when you're starting to drink, you need to, take some food with it, or you get hungry anyway. So,
and like you said, the patio's incredible. You can sit out on the patio with a glass of wine.
so you do a charcuterie board, which for those who might not know what it is, that's different sliced meats, and do you cheeses with it, or you just
We have a separate cheese platter as well.
But you can do a combined, or what?
Yeah, sure.
Anything else in the snack line? This is again.
Yeah,
remember this-
we're doing some pork sliders. Joey's loves to smoke, so we got our own smoker right out back. So we smoke our own pork.
sliders.
Pork
Those
sliders.
little small hamburgers. It feels like the old days when I forgot what those hamburger chain. They used to make a little bitty ones. You get a slew of them. So it's good. It's just enough to not fill you up for dinner, but at the same time to take off the edge of the alcohol. And this runs from 3 to 6, right?
3 to 6.
Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday, and
Okay,
then
now let's talk about the rest.
Saturdays and Sundays we open at 9. So we just started experimenting with a little brunch. So we have a few items on the menu for breakfast, but you can get lunch starting even off the lunch menu at 9:00 in the morning.
Oh,
one of the best features, one of our most popular features right now is a take. It's eggs cochon.
No, that's you told me in the beginning. Tell the folks. 'Cause
Yeah, so it's
everybody knows cochon means pig, so it's going to be in the pork line. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So we do the egg, a little biscuit on the bottom, put a little egg on it, put a little pork on top of it, and Joey does a little hollandaise sauce on top of it. So
there you go.
It's an incredible dish, and it's we've had people come in and say if they went to the West Bank, if they went to the East Bank to eat it, they'd pay $30 for it, and it's
a lot more.
$12
You're right.
at Cafe
And
Hope.
what's good about it, again, you're not going to get, and not that we don't want this to happen, but you're not going to get some tremendous crowds on Saturday and Sunday brunch. I mean, that has become such a staple of today's society that you have to book way or you have to wait out. I mean, excuse me, but I just don't like to wait, especially if you're hungry. I mean, you can't just sit there and You need. So what's good about this place is that it's large enough to accommodate everyone. You're not going to have severe lines to wait.
Yeah, some great French toast, the eggs cochon.
And that runs from 9 to what time on Saturday and Sunday?
9 to 2. You can get breakfast all the way to 2 o'clock.
Perfect. I'm hoping one day they'll come back to. They used to open on Friday nights at the other place. That's the one thing
We're
I'm
working
following.
on that. It's coming.
Well, that way I can bring a dinner club. Yeah. Anyway, we only got a couple more minutes. Ooh, the wrap. We showed all the pictures. Let's
think
see
he was showing
the menu.
some
How
of the
about
lunch
the menu
specials,
for this
yeah.
week? Do we have a menu up there? Okay, folks, this is fresh off the thing. Here's the menu for this week. Now, these are just the specials. They have their standard menu, but can you read those?
I'm terrible.
Okay.
I can't. But I
I
think
can't
this week
either.
the
My eyes-
appetizer was a black bean hummus, I believe.
Ooh.
So all our hummuses are made in-house. So Joey
Fantastic.
and Timmy and Dwayne take the
And,
time to do a hummus.
Do they do that at the happy hour or break?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's great with a little pita bread or snack or breads or toast.
Incredible.
And to
Absolutely.
mix up the different beans is really great.
And then we have some daily specials. The specials usually the same during the week. It's a $10 special, so you can come in and get lunch for $10.
Wow.
Tuesday is Joey's choice, so it's a chef's choice on Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
Wednesday is white beans and pork chop.
Can't beat that.
Thursday is Italian, so whatever Joey wants to do Italian-wise.
Wow.
With La Bella, you got a lot to live up to.
A lot
so
to live up
the
to.
meatballs are incredible. Anything he does Italian. We just did an antipasta salad last week, and it was phenomenal.
So this particular thing is you have these specials that are on the menu is published. The special menu is published every week on Facebook, right?
On Facebook every Tuesday morning we'll put it out, and it's just a regular menu. A couple of really cool items that I think people would really love.
Go ahead.
Again, we have our own smoker, so he does an incredible smoked chicken plate.
Wow.
Our Friday special every Friday is fried catfish for $10. It's phenomenal.
Unbelievable. I mean, the fast foods you can get away with that. So that's
one of the best hamburgers in the city of New Orleans.
That's
Hand cut fries. We do them ourselves, teaching the kids how to do them the right way. So it's not frozen, never frozen. It's hand cut fries.
Wow.
Great hamburger, 10-ounce hamburger. Phenomenal. Joey just put a muffalata. That's out of this world on the menu. So an incredible muffalata. We do some crab sliders. So we're doing the crab cake sliders, which is a really nice dish.
Great.
Shrimp and grits is always popular.
Well, you can hear it. So the menu is pretty darn expansive. And again, having specials on top of that. So, folks, we want to encourage you, as you mentioned, we really appreciate and thank Louis Rocha coming in and telling us something, showing you the fantastic work that's being done in our community. And then even though it's done on the West Bank, it's open to every young man or lady, and getting their hands from the beginning, learning where it starts and how it finishes, and getting that positive feedback of knowing that they were part of presenting this
And you
dish.
can be a big part of it, Bob. Nothing is better for a kid than to have a guest come in and say, hey, you did a great job, love your smile, the eye contact. It's those little things that they're learning, how to have eye contact, how to shake hands properly. Those are the things that are really cool. And you can be a part of it by coming in, having some food, and telling the kids they're doing a great job.
We're going to be doing trying at Saturday brunch very soon. And, of course, when and if you get and maybe one on a Wednesday afternoon for lunch, we'll come in. But also, if and when you ever get that Friday night, we'll participate there. So, again, folks, remember, you can donate. It's time of the year to donate to all your charities anyway for your write-off. So donate to Cafe Hope. Volunteer in any capacity at all, whether it's just lecturing or even getting in there and helping the kids do the dirty work, as to say. And lastly, the easiest way is to patronize the restaurant. Remember, Timberlane Country Club, open Tuesday through Friday for lunch, open every afternoon for bar, snacks, and bar, and then open Saturday and Sunday for brunch. Can't beat it. Again, folks, next week is... it's 1st of November, so we'll be doing Chef's Chat, and that'll be a domestic chef. I don't know who we got yet. So follow us next week and look for our promos so you can follow Cape Hope.
Bob, thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Take care.